Y'all, my garden is so wild that one could get a little lost in it, and I like that very much. I'm actually looking for a turnip. I don't expect to find one out here. I'm pretty sure they would be in the high tunnel. However, there's a beet. Will and I have both sowed quite a few things out here. Sowed. Help me out, English people. We have put multiple seeds in the ground, but seeing as how the last 6 weeks of doing that, parts of that has been very, very hot. The germination has been really sporadic, so we just keep throwing more seeds in the ground, and that's made for a very random garden, and I don't really mind that. I'm loving how wild it is, but it's a little bit of a treasure hunt sometimes when you're looking for something viable to use. Oh, hey there, Bosco. What's up, pretty boy? Hey, handsome. Hey, baby, come here. I got nothing for you. I got nothing. I just wanted to pet you. I bet he'd like that beet, but I kind of want to save it for myself, so I'm not going to give it to him. I got a big harvest of zucchinis and squash earlier today. Look at these little baby cucumbers. You know, I might get to put up a bunch of pickles yet. My fall cucumbers are doing very fine. Hey, Paisley girl. Hey, Paisley. Hey, beautiful. What's up? Can I pet you? Can I pet you? No. There we go. So y'all, Paisley is Wes's horse. She stays here out on our pasture. And Wes and Joe and Jeremiah have been working with the horses a lot. And Joe, he has spent a lot of time training horses and working on horseback with cattle. And he has had her saddled. They've ridden her a little bit in the round pen, so that's really cool. She came to Wes. She was a wild Mustang that he actually adopted from a rescue, so pretty cool. When she first came out here, there's no way you were getting within like 20 feet of her, so the fact that she'll let you just like pet her head now is really awesome. Oh dang, we missed one. I'll take that. My majestic trellis. You know, my trellises were all pretty puny all year. So few things actually took off on them, and now I've got a couple that are just very covered. The sun's going down, as you can tell. Camera technology's come a long way, but it still gets a little confused sometimes. Another zucchini. Goodness, I love the fall garden. These are also cucumbers that are getting pretty sizely. Should have quite a few cucumbers here in the next probably 2 weeks. I need to quit going through here and showing you guys all the stuff. I was gonna shoot a garden tour yesterday morning. It was raining. I came out to do it and it was raining, and I thought it was gonna pass. It didn't pass. It got worse, so I did a kitchen day. And then this morning I had an appointment early, so I couldn't shoot the garden tour. Now here I am showing you all the stuff, and this garden walk, it's the light, it gets me. I didn't come prepared to harvest, but I should know I can't walk into my garden during this time of year and not come back with something. This morning it was pretty chilly when I woke up when I first came down here, and these were covered in dew. This used to be a very melancholy time of year for me, but now I've really come to love this time of year in the garden. So I'd made a comment on this plant when the flowers first started to open because I could not recall what it is. And this is actually a Confederate rose that my friend Miss Nina brought me. She is a local viewer that has gardened for much longer than I've been alive and has such a wealth of knowledge. And she comes by and visits with me sometime. And she brought me some plants. We met at book signing, I think. I can't remember if it's that or the library. I think we met at the library first. I spoke there a couple years ago when we first moved here and became pals, and I love when she visits with me. And that was one of the things she brought me. It was just a little squirt when she brought it to me, and I did not realize it was going to grow that fast. She actually brought me that canna too. She gave me several plants, and I want to say she stopped by with those right before, it was like the day I was leaving to go to Tennessee for Rory Feast, or to Arkansas, that whole trip that I did. And Will stuck those in the ground for me. I had no clue where they were. So that Confederate rose is gorgeous. It may be one of my favorite things in the garden right now. I was just noting, of course we got some weeds going on, but I've got pitcher plants here. They're a little on the small side, but I've got a whole bunch of them down by the pond. I had ordered a bunch of plugs of those. Got strawberries, lots of random goodness everywhere. The pineapple sage, look at that. That was just a little start, beginning of the season. Oh, hi avocado. You leading the way? You gonna let me pet you? Avocado is the wild Mustang of the barn cats. I abandoned my side-by-side down there. That's okay, I'll walk my way back. I think she wants to hang out with me, but she doesn't want me to actually pay her that much attention. The sweet potato patch finally began like really growing quickly. For a while, it just took a while to get taking off. So Will and I were discussing this the other day. This should be ready to dig like mid-October based on when we planted it. We planted them a little late. They take 120 days. However, these greens are edible. If you've got sweet potatoes growing, you can harvest some of the greens and cook them as you would spinach. We don't typically do that, but you could. We were having some issues with like deer or bunnies or something, and apparently the growth here took off, and whatever was plaguing them did not keep up. So this last row was a second planting of potatoes, and they came up pretty sporadic, probably due to the heat. But we'll see. We'll just leave them in there. We've got time to let them grow. And here, the volunteer garden is very weedy and overgrown. It's going to get chickens in it really soon, as well as this in-ground garden. I'm just talking about the garden, doing a miniature garden tour, even though that's not what I meant to do. Once we get all of the squash that are in here, we have like lots of pumpkins growing. Once those are pretty well mature, and there are a lot of them, I'm not going to step in here because I'm wearing sandals, but there are a whole lot of them in here. There's probably, I would hazard the guess of saying there's at least 30 or so, maybe even more good-sized pumpkins out in this mess. And once those are ready to pick, this is going to get chickens in it as well. I'm changing my garden plans a little bit next year, and the potatoes are going to go over here. Essentially, because that is a tilled area, with potatoes, I mean, you can't do no-till or no-dig because you have to dig the potatoes. So we do go ahead and cultivate the potato patch. And then we do add some compost, and we mostly put the potatoes on top of the soil and then cover with straw. But I'm going to do it here instead of in the middle of the garden belt, as I have been doing it, so that I can establish this whole thing as no dig. And then we can put up fences and not have to put as wide of a gate. Because if we're not going to be trying to get the tiller in, then we don't have to accommodate such access. Alright, I know I've got lots of beets out here, but I'm looking to see if maybe we have any turnips. Isn't this breathtaking? She keeps chasing bugs. I keep trying to get it, but I miss it. I consider any golden hour not spent out in the garden an utter waste, even if I didn't find a turnip. I wanted to matchstick cut a turnip for the salad. I made chicken and rice soup for dinner. Cooked the turkey yesterday for I roasted it and stuffed it with stuffing to have like a little mini Thanksgiving. And afterwards I took the carcass and simmered it overnight with water and made like a good rich broth and saved that. And then today, shredded meat and I say chicken and rice, turkey and rice, shredded meat, and then put it in the broth with some rice and veggies and made soup, which is awesome. I got to use the whole thing, got 2 solid dinners out of it, and there will be leftovers of that soup also that some of my boys, all of them probably won't, but some of them will take that in a thermos to lunch. The rice typically expands when you make like chicken and rice or turkey and rice, whatever, soup, and then it makes it less soupy, so it works well for leftovers for lunches the next day. So we'll end up getting several meals off of that one turkey, which is really awesome. All of that to say, I came out here because I wanted to make a salad. I have some spinach and just matched it, cut up a turnip. They're so good when it's cooler outside. They're nice and sweet. And I have some walnuts that I was going to mix with the turnip and walnuts and then the spinach and then dress that for a salad, but it's fine if we don't have it. I could still do the nuts, and I think I have an apple in the house that I could cut up, which would be more or less the same idea. So we cleaned out this high tunnel, and then that was some weeks ago. A lot of the stuff has started to grow back in, some weeds, but also lots of volunteers. Like, check this out. These are sweet peas. Here's a head of lettuce. You know what this fell off of? I had some green stalks out here, and some of the lettuces went to seed, and there's a head of lettuce growing. Isn't that cool? Holy basil. I've got a pretty sizable cucumber plant here, which is awesome. Look at this. So that's a silver slicer. I don't know that silver slicers have, yeah, maybe there were some here like 2 years ago. I was going to say this might have come from seeds that were like in the compost and were carried over here. Pretty cool. I came in here because I know there was a rutabaga that went to seed, as well as some radishes, and I was thinking maybe there was something out here growing I could put in my salad. It does not appear that any of this stuff has much roots yet. I don't know which one this is. This is some sort of root vegetable that's growing, maybe the rutabaga, but that would work for a salad. Like the turnip, like there's a little root. This is very high up on the next to-do list. We're going to be putting in some low raised beds in here, putting in some fresh compost and getting ready to plant this with stuff that we're going to grow over the winter. We're going to put a lot of brassicas in here over the winter, and then we're also going to go ahead and plant some cut flowers for next spring, things that need to overwinter, like sweet peas as well as ranunculus. But I'm not going to fill the whole thing up with those things. I'm going to do some vegetables over the winter, and then the spaces where those vegetables come out in the spring, we'll do cut flowers that you plant the same. So still the plan to fill this space up. That was a place of disappointment. This is where I got contaminated soil. We did successfully restore that soil because, as you can see, like this is a volunteer pepper plant that grew from last year. Obviously super healthy and lush. These are Sugar Rush peach peppers, which we left this plant here when we cleaned it all up because it was just so healthy looking. Will nor I had the heart to tear it out. And you can see all these ground cherries. All of these grew and were volunteers. So last year when we had the contaminated soil, it made all the nightshades, the ground cherries, the peppers, and all the tomatoes that were right here. It made them all just shrivel up, get really gnarly, and die. So we did worm teas, activated charcoal. We started sprouting mushrooms in buckets and then taking the mycelium filled straw and putting it out here, and obviously it worked. Oh my gosh, we love this. Oh! It fell backwards. Oh, bummer. It split. Big carrot, it split. That's sad. All right, we'll give this over here to the birds. Hey geese! Hey, you want this? Oh, I threw that pepper too. last year I had listened to you guys. Actually, many of you had suggested that I turn what was the high tunnel of disappointment into a cut flower tunnel because it would be so beautiful and bring so much joy, and I loved the idea, but we just weren't able to get to it this year. We were spread pretty thin, and I'm really excited to get to that. I'm excited to have 2 high tunnels like rocking and rolling over the winter. We're going to be able to grow a lot of food and be able to continue just coming out and picking fresh out of the garden over the winter. I think that the reason I've been thinking about this lately, because for the longest time I would have told you, and I think I said this in a video recently, but for the longest time I would have told you that my favorite garden was the summer. And when this time of year came around, I would deal with some, you know, melancholy and just feeling kind of bummed about the garden being over. But after having my health crisis last year, I have not handled the heat as well as I used to. Had a really bad inflammatory response. I'm actually going to do an update video soon about my health. A lot of the things that I've dealt with are like women's health issues, and I think I'm going to just go ahead and make a video about it, because if my experience can help people, I'm glad to share it, even if some of the things are somewhat private in nature. But I had a really bad inflammatory response at the end of last year, in the end of last summer, if you guys were not here. Actually, this time right now, I was laid up in bed with 80% of my body covered in a terribly painful rash. It was really, really rough. And this year, I've just not been able to hang as well physically in the summer garden. Now, thankfully, I have Will, so we were able to still grow the really big garden. Had it been just me, I mean, if it was just me at the beginning, I would not have a garden this large. I think I could take care of, I've decided this, because when Will went out of town and I was here by myself for, you know, about 2 weeks, I decided that I could care for, by myself, the raised bed garden, the whole raised bed garden, both sides, and probably like one of the high tunnels. I could do that excellently. Keep it not weedy, keep it planted, harvested, rotated, back, you know, like refreshed, mulched, all the things that go into that. That's about how much space, with everything else that I'm doing, with taking care of my kids and all that stuff, that's about what I could do on my own. So the garden is over twice that size. So definitely this is a multiple person effort. But last year, I mean, I got taken out almost entirely. I was out here maybe 30 minutes a day right before, like this time, when it wasn't hot and sunny. And then this year, I've been able to do a lot out here, but it's pretty well had to be in the evenings or in the mornings. I just don't have the ability to garden in the day, in the sun, in the heat anymore. Maybe that'll come back to me, maybe it won't, I don't know. But it's given me a lot of insight, because I have had so many people share with me their struggle in really wanting to garden but having physical limitations. And this last year has given me a lot of insight to that, and you know, I can now imagine. Now, I'm not saying I've still got a ton of ability, and I'm thankful for that, but I can now imagine the frustration that people deal with when they want to grow a lot, but they physically cannot. I like that you're hanging with me tonight, Avocado. You little cutie. But I was thinking this because I came out here this morning, and I was thinking, I don't ever remember loving a fall garden the way that I love this one. It's just been so wonderful and fulfilling, and maybe it was the fact that last year I was so sick. Maybe it is the fact that this is a lot easier for me physically to garden whenever it's nicer outside. It's not so miserably hot. But I also can say in the fall garden, you don't have the bug pressure. The weeds don't grow as fast. Things are slower. And I love the fact that in the fall garden, you can use your garden more like a cold storage or a grocery store. I love just going out and harvesting dinner. Now, it's great when you get buckets and buckets of something at the same time, and you can make lots of stuff and preserve lots of stuff. And I do preserve lots of stuff, but my favorite thing is going out and picking dinner and going in and preparing it. or lunch or breakfast or whatever food I'm about to consume, coming out and getting it right then. That, I don't know if it's the romance of that. It is very fresh and delicious and lovely, but the whole experience of that is my favorite thing. And in the winter garden, in the fall, with the high tunnels, or even growing outside, if you can do that, if you live in a place where you can, it's just awesome to be able to come out and harvest as you need things, and you can do that a little more. Now, your root vegetables may be a little on the small side when you're first harvesting. They may be a little on the larger side, you know, a month later, but you don't have to pick them all at once and figure out how to preserve them. In a lot of cases, you can just leave them there and get them as you need them. She's just following me around. It's very unlike her. So I would love to know where you are in your garden this year. Have you thrown in the towel? Are you done? Are you working on something for fall? I had someone message the other day saying they had their first frost, which is wild, but we're getting to that time. Are you down under? Are you going into spring? I know several of you from Oz and from New Zealand and just living on the other side of the world, you guys are heading into spring, so you'll be sharing the life-giving content of buckets full of harvest here in a few months. I'd love to hear, where are you in your garden? Leave a comment down below. It's lovely for me to read. We are sowing seeds. Oh, I want to show you all that. We are sowing seeds. We are getting ready for what's next. We're searching out what is actually growing. I actually am going to be starting more seeds tomorrow, I believe, and I will make a video of that for you guys. But this is lots of brassicas, lovely little things. You see this mess right here of a cup? That's that poor seedling. A frog got in there and burrowed down in there, dislodged the seedling, and left a mess. Little toady and making himself at home. So this is what will fill that high tunnel that I said we were going to be putting the beds in, is all of these brassicas. My little accidental pepper bed looking nice in here. Actually, that's higher on the priority list. Maya is still working on a couple other odds and ends projects around the house, and then he's turning his attention to the garden. So we're going to do the beds, we're going to finish this out entirely, and then we're going to finish out here where we still have to roof the pavilion and do the arbors that are going up, the fences that are going up, and we're reworking this cottage space. So we have a lot of things that we're doing in the garden over the winter. We do a lot of the like big projects like that in the winter because it's cooler, so we're not having to combat, you know, when it's 100 Fahrenheit or 38 Celsius outside. It's not fun to work in that. And when you can just do your projects in the winter, why not? But I'm excited. I'm excited. I love traveling. I love the great honor and privilege of being able to go and speak at conferences and meet people. I have one conference coming up. It's the Farm Where You Live event up in Clemson, South Carolina on October, I don't have my phone to look at the calendar. It's the 7th or the 8th. It's the Saturday. I'll put a link to the information. You guys can look at it, because I think there are some other things the day before that you can go to that are extra. But I'm speaking Saturday. I know that. I know when I'm supposed to be there. Daniel's playing music. Sweet Maya's coming with me, and we're gonna bring some of the fam and the crew and come up for the day. It's close enough that we can do a day trip, but we're really excited to be at that. Other than that, I actually don't have any other speaking engagements or anything that I have to be at for like the rest of the year, which, as much as I love being able to go, and I'm so thankful, and I don't want that to end, I am very much a homebody at heart, and I actually have like this little party inside of me whenever I know that I have a long stretch of like staying home and cooking and growing food and hanging out with my kids and making stuff. Just, you know, my little dream life that I'm living. It's gonna be really cool, and I'm very excited that we're finally gonna do the final push to see this garden belt come to fruition the way that we dreamed it when we first looked at it. We made the plan when we came here, knowing that it was, we broke it up. We were planning on it taking 3 years. And so next spring is our 3rd season growing in this garden. Right? Yeah. So that's pretty awesome. And we're going to finish it out over the winter, or mostly. There may be a few things remaining, but I'm excited. I love getting to share it with you. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today on this quick, impromptu, not a garden tour. I'll do a real one soon where I actually talk more specifically about things. I don't know, I covered a lot of it. I bless you guys. Until next time.